The story begins in Egypt, specifically in the Aswan Governorate, with a man named Ibrahim. He is driving the car with his wife, Samia, and their children, all on their way back home. At that moment, the cassette player is on, and they are all happily singing along to a song, except for his wife, Samaya, who turns off the cassette and says, "Stop the noise already, I have a headache." When they return home, they find their pet bird dead, with a strange black substance oozing from it. Samia locks eyes with Ibrahim, making it obvious that they are hiding a dangerous secret. Ibrahim quickly orders the kids to go to their rooms. Afterward, the couple heads down to the basement and enters a secret room containing a small black pyramid, roughly 1.5 meters tall. Inside this pyramid is a passage leading to a sarcophagus with a pharaonic mummy. Suddenly, they discover that the mummy is moving, and it brutally finishes Ibrahim off right in front of his wife. Next, we cut to an American news anchor named Charlie, who lives in Cairo Governorate with his wife and 2 children. Charlie goes to check on his pregnant wife, Larissa, who tells him, "I want to give birth in America." During their conversation, they hear their kids fighting, so they go to see what's happening. Their son Sebastian explains that his sister Katie is upset with him because he threw her doll off the balcony. To fix things, Charlie is forced to buy a new doll. He hands it to his daughter and says, "Don't be sad, I got you a new doll." However, Katie replies, "You know, you treat my brother Sebastian much better than me. The proof is that you didn't even punish him." Later, Katie goes to play alone in the garden. A woman approaches the fence and talks to her saying, "Hello, Katie." It turns out this woman is actually Samia, and it's clear that Katie already knows her. Samia hands her something and says, "Eat this, I brought it especially for you." As Katie takes the apple, Samia chants a magical spell, causing a pharaonic scarab beetle to emerge from the fruit. Suddenly, the insect crawls straight into Katie's mouth, making her collapse to the ground, choking and gasping for air. At that exact moment, Charlie is talking on his phone when he notices a lot of chocolate bags hidden in Katie's wardrobe. He finds this deeply strange because he never buys her all this chocolate. He goes to ask his son Sebastian about it, and Sebastian tells him there's a woman who comes every day. She talks to Katie, gives her this chocolate, and leaves. Panicked, Charlie goes out to look for Katie in the garden, but unfortunately, he can't find her. He is shocked to discover that the fence wire has been cut. He rushes outside to search for his daughter and spots Samia carrying her and running away. Realizing she has kidnapped his daughter, Charlie chases after her. Sadly, because of the raging storm, she completely vanishes from his sight. Charlie and his wife Larissa rush to the police station to report their daughter's kidnapping. He tells Officer Dahlia everything, explaining that the woman who took Katie had clearly planned this well in advance since she brought her chocolate every day. Officer Dahlia reassures them that she will search everywhere and call them the moment she finds her. 8 years later, Katie is still missing and no one knows anything about her. Charlie has moved back to America and started a new job, looking visibly depressed all the time, unable to forget his daughter. Meanwhile, his wife Larissa is also at home, struggling to overcome the trauma. Their daughter Maud comes over to talk to her mother, and we realize that Maud is the baby Larissa was pregnant with 8 years ago. Meanwhile, back in Egypt, specifically in the Aswan Governorate, a boy is fixing his bicycle when he spots a plane crashing into the forest. He runs to the crash site and finds the pilot dead. Terrified, he runs away, trips, and falls to the ground, only to see a massive black sarcophagus right in front of him. He immediately decides to report what he saw to the police. The sarcophagus is transferred to a research center where 2 scientists open it. They find a piece of paper placed on the mummy, covered in highly bizarre symbols. Suddenly, the mummy begins to move. A scarab beetle crawls out of its mouth, screeching at the top of its lungs. And here comes the big twist. This mummy is actually Katie, the girl who went missing 8 years ago. Just as Charlie and his family are heading out, they receive a call from the American embassy in Egypt, informing them that the Egyptian police have finally found Katie. In total shock, Charlie and his wife rush to Egypt. They find out their daughter is in the hospital and go to check on her. The doctor speaks with them, warning, "Your daughter is in a state of psychological shock due to the severe trauma she endured. You might find her behavior a bit creepy right now, so you must be understanding and stand by her side." As soon as he finishes speaking, they go in to see her, but she is completely silent and unresponsive. They comfort her, saying, "We love you so much, and we will never abandon you." Shortly after, Officer Dahlia arrives to speak with them. She shows them photos of the black sarcophagus their daughter was trapped in, assuring them that she is actively hunting for the person responsible and will contact them as soon as she finds them. Charlie and Larissa decide to take Katie back to America so she can live with them. When they arrive, they take Katie to her room. Naturally, her siblings are terrified of her appearance, but try hard not to show it. Her sister Maud tries to talk to her, saying, "I'm so happy to see you again, Katie," and wishes her a happy birthday. During the conversation, Katie stares at her grandmother, Carmen, and gets extremely agitated when she sees her praying for her. Suddenly, Katie lunges from her spot, attacks her grandmother, and starts acting in a highly bizarre, possessed manner. Terrified, the family watches helplessly until her mother, Larissa, is forced to inject her with a sedative to put her to sleep. At night, Charlie sits down to look at the photos of the sarcophagus his daughter was trapped in. He still can't understand why the woman who kidnapped her would put her in something like that, and he begins to feel that there is something deeply unnatural about this whole creepy situation. Suddenly, he hears a very strange noise echoing through the house. He rushes to Katie's room only to find her bed empty. He quickly wakes up his wife and they start searching the house. They find their son Sebastian awake, who tells them that the bizarre noise is coming from inside the ventilation shaft. They quickly open the vent and are shocked to find Katie sitting there, eating insects. They grab her immediately, trying to force her to spit them out so she doesn't get sick or catch a disease. At this point, they are completely losing their minds, unable to comprehend the insane things she is doing. The next morning, Sebastian and his sister Maud get into the car with their father, Charlie, so he can drive them to school. Suddenly, they are blocked by a massive pack of wolves. The wolves stare at them in an eerie, unsettling way before finally moving along. Charlie finds this incredibly strange, as wolves have never appeared in this area before. He continues driving, and on the way, Sebastian brings up his sister's creepy behavior, asking, "Why is she acting like this?" Charlie reassures him, saying the doctor explained it's just psychological trauma and that she'll surely get better with time. When Charlie returns home, he manages to put a padlock on the ventilation shaft door to keep Katie from going back inside. While doing so, he accidentally notices bloodstains under the rug. He stands there completely baffled, wondering whose blood it could be. He goes to talk to his wife, Larissa, and tells her, "We need to commit Katie to a mental hospital so she can get professional treatment." However, Larissa fiercely refuses, snapping at him, "I will not let my daughter be taken away from me again. For heaven's sake, I haven't seen her in 8 years. Later on, Charlie finds papers covered in a very strange, incomprehensible writing. Assuming it's hieroglyphics, he takes the papers to an Egyptologist. When asked about the text, the archaeologist looks baffled and says, "There is no way this is hieroglyphics. This is actually the first time in my life I've ever seen a language like this." Charlie begs him to try and identify the script and translate it so he can understand what is happening to his daughter, and the scientist promises to do his best. Charlie rushes back home to check on Katie, only to find her chattering her teeth repeatedly, as if she is trying to communicate with him. He suddenly realizes she is trying to talk to him using Morse code, something he had taught her when she was a little girl. For those who don't know, Morse code is a communication system using signals and pulses. Charlie starts jotting down the signals his daughter is making until he decrypts the message. The decoded word spells out a name, Layla. As it turns out, Layla is actually the daughter of Samaya, the woman who kidnapped Katie. He immediately calls Officer Dahlia and fills her in on everything. Dahlia tells him, "Since your daughter Katie gave you this name, she definitely knows who Layla is. Try searching through her old belongings. Maybe we can find a clue about her." Charlie remembers that Katie loved writing letters, so he rushes down to the basement to dig up all her old journals and letters, hoping to find anything related to this Layla. At that exact moment, Maud comes out of the bathroom and hears a terrifying noise coming from her sister Katie's room. As she approaches the door, she is horrified to see a long tongue sliding out from under the door, trying to touch her feet. Terrified, Maud bolts toward her room, but suddenly an invisible force lifts her high up into the air. She hangs there completely paralyzed with fear, having no idea what is happening. Meanwhile, Katie is watching the whole thing, chanting a magical spell, revealing that she is the one doing this to her own sister. Meanwhile, Charlie finds a letter that his daughter had written to Layla. He decides to send it over to Officer Dahlia, who manages to track down Layla's address and heads over to interrogate her. At the same time, Charlie pays another visit to the archaeologist to see what he uncovered regarding the papers written in that bizarre language. The archaeologist tells him, "I discovered that this language is actually ancient Egyptian hieratic. As for the text on the papers, it describes a funerary ritual called the Binding of the Demon. This ritual was used by an ancient cult to summon a demon and force it to possess someone who has a family. Once inside, the demon controls that person and uses them to dominate the rest of the family, passing the possession down through generations. They essentially worship the devil. At that moment, Officer Dahlia arrives at Layla's house but finds it completely empty. She goes inside to search the place and discovers the secret room containing the Black Pyramid. Hearing a noise outside, she steps out to check, only to be ambushed by Samia. Samia lunges at her with a knife, trying to kill her, but Dahlia reacts quickly, shoots her, and takes her down for good. Just then, her daughter Layla walks in and sees the whole thing. Terrified to see the police officer standing over her dead mother, Layla bolts, trying to escape. Dahlia chases after her and catches up, only to find Layla frantically digging into the ground. She pulls out a highly bizarre box, and when she opens it, she finds a videotape with Katie's name written on it. Dahlia decides to arrest Layla and find out what exactly is on that tape. Back at the house, Katie's grandmother is sitting down, praying to God to heal Katie and bring her back to her old self. Suddenly, Katie attacks her, snapping, "Mind your own business, Grandma," and throws her out of the window. The grandmother crashes right onto Charlie's car. Charlie and his kids are completely traumatized to see her dead body, except for Maud, who stands there laughing hysterically. It becomes clear that Katie successfully took control of Maud when she cast that magical spell on her earlier. To make matters worse, the same pack of wolves Charlie saw before suddenly appears out of nowhere and begins devouring the grandmother's body. At the police station, Officer Dahlia plays the videotape labeled with Katie's name. In the video, Samia is recorded talking about everything she did to Katie after kidnapping her. Dahlia goes to interrogate Layla, only to be shocked to discover that her tongue has been cut out. Struggling to speak, Layla reveals that her own mother, Samaya, cut her tongue out because she wanted to expose the truth. She warns Dahlia, the biggest mistake the police made was removing Katie from that sarcophagus. My brothers tried to warn them not to move it and to leave it exactly as it was, but the authorities insisted on moving it to a remote location because they saw it as a curse. And in the end, Katie wiped them all out. It turns out that Layla's brothers were actually the ones inside the plane that crashed in the forest. Exhausted from trying to speak, Layla asks Dahlia for a pen and paper so she can write down the rest of the story. Meanwhile, at Charlie's house, they hold a funeral for the grandmother, and Larissa is absolutely devastated by her death. Later on, Sebastian hears a very strange, eerie voice coming from Katie's room. He cautiously approaches the door, and Katie speaks to him from the inside, pleading, "Please open the door, I just want to talk to you." Sensing that something is deeply wrong, Sebastian refuses. He goes back to his room, puts on his headphones, and blasts music to drown her out. But to his absolute horror, her voice grows incredibly loud, completely overpowering his music. It seems he is the only one who can hear her terrifying voice echoing inside his head. Shortly after, Officer Dahlia arrives at Charlie's house to show him and his wife Larissa the videotape. When they play it, they see Samaya explaining that a demon had possessed the mummy they kept in their house. However, since the mummy was on the verge of decomposing, the demon had to transfer into a new host, ideally someone young. The video then shows Samia approaching Katie and chanting a spell to transfer the demon from the mummy into her. Charlie and Larissa are left completely devastated seeing what happened to their daughter. Meanwhile, back in the present, Katie has taken full control of her brother, Sebastian. She tells him, "I need you to help me perform the ritual because the demon inside me needs to transfer into a new host right now." At that exact moment, Larissa and Dahlia rush to unlock Katie's door to see what she's up to, especially now that they know she is possessed. Suddenly, Charlie is confronted by the grandmother, who is somehow alive, looking absolutely monstrous and staring at him with murderous intent. He runs for his life and heads toward Katie's room. The moment they open the door, they are shocked to see Katie levitating in the air. She violently throws Charlie to the ground and shoves Dahlia down the stairs. Meanwhile, Larissa is horrified to find her son, Sebastian, completely possessed by Katie and trying to kill her. Acting quickly, Larissa injects him with a sedative, knocking him out instantly. At the same time, the monstrous grandmother attacks Dahlia and forces a scorpion into her mouth. Dahlia desperately fights back, beating her off and frantically spitting the scorpion out. Charlie grabs Dahlia and they rush back into Katie's room. He begs Dahlia to chant the demon demon transfer spell they saw in Samia's video. Dahlia instantly realizes that Charlie wants to sacrifice himself to save his daughter by drawing the demon into his own body. When Katie lunges at Charlie, he manages to pin her down. Dahlia begins chanting the spell, and Katie's mouth opens as the demon successfully transfers into Charlie. Larissa is left in absolute shock, realizing her husband just made the ultimate sacrifice to save her and their children. 1 month later, Katie has completely returned to normal and is doing perfectly fine, sitting peacefully at home. Charlie, however, is now locked inside a heavily chained sarcophagus. It turns out Dahlia and Larissa locked him away so the demon inside him can never harm anyone again. Suddenly, Dahlia receives a phone call from Larissa, who tells her, "I have a solid plan to save my husband, Charlie, and I need you to help me pull it off." Dahlia immediately agrees, replying, "Tell me the plan." A few days later, we see Samia locked inside a prison ward, heavily restrained to a bed so she can't perform any rituals to escape or hurt anyone. Larissa suddenly walks in and injects her with a powerful sedative to paralyze her. Larissa looks her dead in the eye and says, "I'm here to do to you exactly what you did to my daughter all those years ago." The woman gasps in horror, realizing Larissa's terrifying plan. Just then, Dahlia walks in wheeling a heavily drugged Charlie on a wheelchair. Dahlia quickly locks the door behind them and prepares to chant the spell that will extract the demon from Charlie and force it into Samaya's body, where they will lock her away in the box forever, leaving her to face the consequences of her own evil deeds. And on that chilling note, the movie ends.